Welcome, guys, to another year of game reviews. 2024 to be exact. So, it's my third year doing it, and I don't intend to stop. So, if you guys want to check out and hear my takes on the worst and best games of each year, just keep checking out these videos because I'm going to keep making them. So, starting off with the worst, we've got Joyville 2. This is a very mediocre Poppy Playtime inspired type game. It certainly has some creative moments, but it lacks cohesion, scares, and polish that really make this an undesirable game. The goofy dialogue and the nonsensical scenarios it places you in makes it impossible to really take seriously, especially considering the horrid voice acting this game contains. The animations and physics are actually really solid with that shit at display, but that's really where the positives end. I will probably not be playing Joyville 3. That's not on my agenda for 2026 or 2025 whenever it drops. Keep in mind, guys, I'm making this video halfway through 2025, so I'm a bit behind on the games, but I don't intend to be behind on them much longer. I'm catching up this summer. Next up, we've got Silent Hill: The Short Message. Now, I remember being really excited for this game, right? It dropped literally out of nowhere. I remember they announced it, and then they dropped it, like, within a day. I think, oh yeah, wait, it says it right here. The game was announced and released for free on January 31st, 2024. So, it did come out literally the day it was announced. So, that was a really cool surprise. But, it did not live up to the little hype that it created. It's about as brief and dull as horror games get, to be honest. At first, I was intrigued by the signature Silent Hill atmosphere on PS5 graphics, but upon realizing that with near zero gameplay and a rushed half-assed story was all it had to offer, I was pretty underwhelmed. I truly struggle to recall a lot of what this game contained. I mean, it was a pretty short game. It's literally called The Short Message, so it lasted about 2 hours and didn't really offer anything of substance, so yeah. Next, we got The Bridge. Oh, what happened? Okay. The Bridge Curse 2. This game, wow, that looks menacing, huh? This game started off strong and it had me hooked. But that hook proved faulty because I quickly lost my attachment to it as it became a cheesy and uninspired romp through tired Japanese horror cliches. Perhaps this game could have really stood on its own 2 feet had it been equipped with a real budget, but as it is, it's an uninspired time waster. Yeah, I think the budget... I'm just reading off what I wrote, by the way. I don't know if you guys could tell, but yeah, I feel the budget of this game really was detrimental to its creation. It definitely needed a bit more polish and time in the oven, and as it is, wasn't that great. What? It said it came out in 2023? No way. No, it came out in May 2024, I was going to say. I double checked my list. I checked it twice. Alright. Next we got... Oh, I gotta keep in mind I got this too. We're good though. Next we got... I'm not going through this editing, guys. You're just going to have to bear with me. We got Alone in the Dark. This game. Wow. This game was Midi Middleton, the mid of the West. About as inoffensively average as a game can really get. Studio got shut down for the misstep, which is quite unfortunate for the future of horror games, as the series was a previous staple of the genre with a hefty budget, so it probably doesn't look promising to other horror game developers. On a weird tangent, it's almost like it's the opposite of films now, where horror movies are safe financial bets, resulting in an increase in that genre, and horror games appear set to fail half the time. Anyways, it was pretty mid, had a tedious story and presentation. The puzzles and environments were cool, but it doesn't elevate it. And you also got the cop from Stranger Things. I always forget his name. David Harbour. Yeah, that was his name. Alright, next we got Silent Hill 2. there has yet to be a Silent Hill game that I have saved, to be honest. As acclaimed as that series is, I just never really rocked with it thus far. Maybe it'll change with the new Silent Hill game coming out in a couple months in September of this year. But this game was widely revered and acclaimed, and I struggle to understand why. Truly one of the most drawn out horror games I've ever played, with very redundant gameplay. Its gameplay was not nearly strong enough to justify how prevalent it was in this game. In contrast to story moments, it ended up feeling largely padded and overwhelmingly dull. Monsters are cool, but it really doesn't make this game worth it. It was just such a long and redundant experience to me. Alright, next we got The Casting of Frank Stone. Holy hell. Alright, this game has me pretty divided. Objectively, it's ridiculously mediocre, offering nothing new to the movie-like game genre. However, it feels like an entertaining B-movie ripe with characters you want to throw tomatoes at. Perhaps it's been a minute since the last Dark Picture horror movie game slopped, so I was drawn to this, but I had a pretty good time here. Will I return? Probably not, though. I still feel Until Dawn is by far superior, and if I'm gonna ever play a movie type game again, it's gonna be that. If it's gonna be in the horror genre, like nothing's come close that as good as Until Dawn, so it's kind of pointless to replay this guy. All right, next, finally onto the good ones. We got Black Ops 6. With the depletion of single-player FPS genre, COD campaigns are all I got left, really. Not quite reaching the highs of Black Ops 1 or 2, but this is a very solid, diverse campaign that is only brought down by the middling ending. Quality titles in this genre are really few and far in between, so I really appreciated this game for the dead genre. Next, we got Finding Frankie. Finding Frankie. This is like a Mirror's Edge and Poppy Playtime like combo, so sign me right up. Truthfully, this game doesn't come close to reaching the quality of the originality of either of those titles. Nonetheless, this game is decisively a fun time. The parkour is really a blast, and its lack of depth is hidden by the game's short yet sweet length. So, it's a good time. Nothing too insane, but it's very similar to another one I really would compare it to is Fall Guys, but if they had Poppy Playtime following you in that game, or the enemies from Poppy Playtime following you in this game. It's a good time, pretty goofy, pretty fun. Next, we got on the good list, we got Indica. Indica was an incredibly bizarre experience. This feels very much like a dark comedy A24-esque video game. A widely inventive title that plays with perspective and invokes complete uncertainty and confusion at times. Combined with narration, this feels as if Stanley Parable was written as a fantasy adventure. The only downsides are the occasional dragging pace and a rushed ending. Other than that, this is a grand time and a really unique experience that I implore all gamers to partake in. Next, we got Poppy Playtime. So what was funny is, at this time, I've already played Chapter 4. Like half a year ago, I played it already. And I remember when I finished Chapter 3, I was like, well, that was pretty good, but didn't come close to Chapter 2. Well, after playing Chapter 4, Chapter 3 really feels like a goddamn masterpiece in contrast. The story truly escalated itself into a more sinister saga in this Poppy entry. Upon finishing it, I was disappointed to bosses not pushing new gameplay mechanics like the second game, and the experience feeling a little bit more mainstreamed. Sure, it's not as strong as Chapter 2, but the puzzles are devilishly challenging, and the overall quality is still strikingly high for the game's price tag. The creativity's still there, the fun's still there. It's still a good entry in the series. That Poppy Trilogy 1, 2, and 3 cannot be defeated. Next game, we got Review. This is another solid entry in the psychological horror subgenre. The visuals, story, and puzzles really stood out, making this a standout experience. The gameplay ideally could be more fleshed out, but with a huge twist that hits 3/4 into this, I was beyond invested in the game, desperate to know what was next. Very intriguing story, that alone warranted a playthrough for me. Other thoughts I have on this one. You could tell the developers really took a lot of time and passion in this, and it came out very, very compelling. The visual, stories, puzzle, everything here is awesome. Highly recommend it. It's really the perfect length too, so you can't go wrong with this title if you want to check out a new psychological horror. Is it as good as like Outlast or the other ones that are going to bring people in if you hated those? Unfortunately not, but if you find value in like Amnesia or Outlast, I think you will definitely find value in this game. There's no question about that to me. Next we got Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Now, a lot of people are saying like don't compare it to Uncharted 4, but it's like you can't not compare it to Uncharted 4. And when you compare this game to Uncharted 4, it's not of the same quality, but it's got an excellent presentation, script, and sound design that elevate this adventure to being a true Indiana Jones romp. Unfortunately, the combat is quite clunky with headshots not even dropping enemies, but merely knocking off their hats. I remember that being really annoying. You would hit a headshot, and it would take multiple headshots to kill someone, and they're just a regular person with a mere hat on. So that was quite frustrating. I understand this Indiana is not a gunslinger, and he's more prone to use his fists, but it really hurt immersion. The glitches, clips through maps are somewhat prevalent too, and the inevitable comparison to Uncharted makes us feel lesser. Almost like the recent Tomb Raider games where they're solid, but they don't exactly hold a torch to Naughty Dog Indiana Jones Simulator, Uncharted. Nonetheless, it's an enjoyable, serviceable adventure that I would recommend to action and stealth fans. It's still a very well done game, but I don't think it comes close to Machine Games' previous Wolfenstein games. I think it just comes down to the gameplay was so superb in the Wolfenstein combat action games with the gunplay and the stealth, and here I really did not feel the gameplay was as strong as the other one. A lot of people enjoyed the gameplay in this game, but I thought it was a little bit weaker. But just overall, the high quality and the story and presentation was really what made me rank it so high, and I will definitely be coming back to it. It just can't give it as high of praise as those other games. Next game we got is one I literally just played last night, so it's very fresh in my mind. The Cabin Factory. So let's see what I got written. This is by far the greatest short indie horror game I've ever played. I've played in a minute. It revolves around an elderly cabin worker identifying if each cabin is or is not haunted, solely off of movement and identified within it. It's a very clever mechanic that forces player to see bizarre, unsettling things within the house and not presume they are haunted unless they're moving. The story is beautifully told subtly through visuals and radio in a very non-explicit fashion that leaves it up to the player to unfold what really went down. However, the best aspect is the sheer diversity and creativity of scares in this game, which rarely rely on jump scares, and more so in making you feel uncomfortable and unnerved. Highly recommend this one. It's literally only $3. I think this is probably the best game you could play with like a group of friends, and have a good time with. Like it's an hour long. It's perfect. It's a great time. Highly recommended. Next, we got a game I'm just replaying right now, actually. Still Wakes the Deep. I'm actually replaying this one because a DLC just came out, and I'm doing my best to refrain from playing it until I replay the main game. This game is a superb horror game. Just look at that image. Like, tell me that doesn't look insane. This feels like very much the spiritual successor to Outlast. Linear, intense first-person horror about an individual in a very unfortunate predicament. The first half is truly phenomenal with its pacing, voice acting, and enemy introductions. Animations and sound design might be some of the best that I've ever witnessed. It might have been a lackluster year for... Unfortunately, the game runs out of steam and becomes just a solid venture through its second half. It doesn't become bad, it just doesn't really introduce anything new to the table in that second half. It might have been a lackluster year for 10 out of 10 quality games, but there's still several high quality titles for gamers similar to this to check out. So, if you're into horror games, this is definitely one to run up. Like, it's a very well done, and it's the best like mainstream horror game I've played since the Poppies, I would say. Since Poppy 2. Very, very well done. Alright, and our final one. We've got Mouthwashing. I was very indecisive on what should have as my game of the year, but I think I gotta go with this one. Just because of its sheer uniqueness. Like, in the visual department, in the storytelling department, the pacing, it's just a very A24 type experience, which is something I just live for. What I got written. Let's see. I'm done with those. Bye-bye. I'm not gonna close it out for it. Alright, what we got written for Mouthwashing. A strikingly original old school sci-fi horror title that attracted tons of attention and was a huge financial success. This is like Indica in that it feels like an A24 film in game format, except this game boasts a tighter, shorter story than that game. The writing pacing really elevates this game to top tier movie game status. My only cons is that it is devoid of horror with a greater focus on tension between, and it may be too short for some. Nonetheless, it's a must play for 2024. A wholly unique experience for gamers to check out. And I think it's really going to have a cult following within the next decade. Everyone will remember this title. And to me, it's the best game 2024. Thank you guys for checking it out. Half a year, I'll be dropping the 2025 list. I've already got a bunch of reviews in. If you look at my list here, I've already got a couple done. Thanks for checking it out, guys. And see you soon.